What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Uncharted. Uncharted, of course, is directed by Ruben Fleischer. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome. Hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, as well as commenting below any video to watch, including this one. So this film, Uncharted, is, of course, based off the very famous, popular video game. It sees a character named Nathan Drake, played by Tom Holland, in his earlier adventures of when he met Sully, Victor Sullivan, and their quest to find the golden Magellan, which will make him very, very rich. Well, we have another character who is played by Antonio Banderas, who plays the main bad guy. He plays Mikado, and he is one of those people who has a past, has a history with the Magellan gold, and he's trying to go after it. Well, coming into the mix is a character favorite in the video game series, Chloe Fraser, played by Sophia in this movie, and a newly formed character played by Tati Gabrielle, who plays Braddock. And in the process, this is an action-adventure film, a very Indiana Jones style film, where they're trying to find the golden Magellan, and that's the whole process of what this film's trying to do. There's set pieces, there's all kinds of, crazy things that happen. And so, like myself and millions of other people, the Uncharted franchise is a truly beloved series. I love the series to death. I love the idea of a Tomb Raider / Indiana Jones series, which it very much apes, but it has its own distinct style. It has great characters and development. It has great gameplay. It has one of the most cinematic moments in history when it comes to video games with the train sequence. It's just overall a very fun, very kind of great series that Naughty Dog has put together, which was a video game company. But it has people like Nolan North, who is the actor who plays Nathan Drake in motion capture. But it's a series that, is just, it's well regarded for what it is. With that said, as we know, for many, many years, many, many decades, it's very difficult to adapt a video game into a movie because you have to boil down what the video game is into about a 2 to 2 hour and 10 minute time frame, or maybe even less. And as we know, video games are not usually 2 hours long. They're usually, if they're like something like Uncharted, they're like 10 to 12 hours long. So you can kind of expand the story, you can make it more fleshed out, you have, video game parts. So it's very difficult. I mean, look at the last Tomb Raider movie, it's very difficult to do. But I think the thing about Uncharted is I never felt like it needed a movie. I never felt like it needed to be adapted into a movie. Just on the simple fact alone that I felt like the video games itself were a movie in its own right. That's what Naughty Dog does so well. So this movie has been in development hell for a long time, almost 10 years now. Originally Mark Wahlberg was supposed to, of course, play Nathan Drake. They were actually going to think about bringing in Nathan Fillion until he became a little too old for the part. And it just became a movie that had a revolving door of directors, and that's a really worrisome thing. It was never a film that I was really on board with. And then Tom Holland comes on board. They're like, we're going to go to a very young, much younger Nathan Drake, go back to his early days. And I don't hate Tom Holland. I think he's actually a really talented actor, but I never felt like he was I never thought he was good for the part of Nathan Drake, because it's a very specific role, a very rugged role, which I never feel like Tom Holland has. But then they decided to switch Mark Wahlberg from the Nathan Drake role over to the Victor Sullivan role, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? This is not right. Mark Wahlberg is definitely not right for this part, because this character is very specific. You can find somebody other than Stephen Lang to play this role, because there are many people out there, not Mark Wahlberg. So this movie has been kind of one of those films where, once they finally got it set, once Ruben Fleischer came on to do the directorial efforts of it, and you started seeing kind of the roll out of the trailers, I knew this movie was going to be a failure. I really did. I never had any hope for this movie. I still do go in optimistic. Maybe I'm going to be shocked and surprised. And I was right. It's very much a video game movie. It's very much a very bland experience. It does try its hardest to be somewhat fun and adventurous, but the set piece, especially the one you see in the trailer with the cargo plane, if you play the video game, you've done that experience. It's done much, much better. There's nothing really unique about this film at all. It does what every other video game adaptation like Tomb Raider do, where it just doesn't feel like it has any passion put behind it. It just feels like, here, we're going to throw in some nods to the video games, which, like I said, the cargo plane stuff is a nod to the video game. There's stuff with the gun holsters and the way way Tom Holland dresses in the movie that's very much like what he is. The very beginning of the movie deals with the very young version of Sam, and of course Nathan Drake. And Nathan Drake's kind of drive through the entire franchise was always Sam Drake, his brother. And I feel like that it just doesn't really work. Nothing really works in this movie. And it's made even worse by Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, who I love as actors in these two roles. They're not well fit for these roles. They're not well positioned for these roles. They don't feel at all like the characters you know. And I know this is a movie. I know you have to kind of go in with a movie sense. But if you're going to make a movie like Uncharted and not something else completely different, you have to have characters that have some kind of resemblance and some kind of feel to those characters. You can't just throw in nods and placements and then throw in a mustache and Mark Wahlberg later on and just call it Uncharted. It just doesn't work like that. And I just feel like this movie just completely misfires on every aspect. I think the best part about this movie is Chloe Fraser's character, the Sophia LE character. I think she's fantastic as Chloe and she feels like Chloe. Then they throw in a bad guy with Antonio Banderas, and once again, they don't know how to wrap themselves around a bad guy. He's not very good in the movie. He's just barely there in the movie. And then they twist it around and something else happens. And, the other problem is the set pieces are in the trailer. When whatever else is not in the trailer is just very boring and bland. And I was starting to fall asleep. At some point, I think, video game movies have to readjust and rethink of what they're doing. Because if you look at something like Cuphead, the Cuphead show, which is based off the video game, they knew what they were doing. They had the style, they had the substance, they had the pedigree, and they just completely went for it, and it just works. It works on all levels, and that's what this movie does, or this movie doesn't do, is it doesn't work on any level. And once again, it just gives us a very tepid, boring, very unoriginal type of film, and that's a problem. Like I said, when you're more focused on giving us Easter eggs than you are an actual story, then you're not delivering a film. So I think overall, it's not the worst video game movie I've ever seen. This isn't like Super Mario Brothers or Tomb Raider, but it's not good. It's not good at all. It might actually be in my top 10 of the worst of the year list. Maybe not. I don't know. It's February. But I think just overall, I think the characters are bland. I think Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg are completely miscast in this movie. And if I were to give anything positive about it, at least they tried to make something halfway decent, even though there's no real passion there. So I know I'm being a lot of negative in this movie, and I went in kind of negative with my mindset. But I have to be realistic here. This is just not a very good movie. So with that said, that's my take on Uncharted. Hopefully, maybe if they do a sequel, it's much, much better. It's like doing a video game sequel that ends up being better than the original, so I don't know. And then there's a couple mid-credit sequences, which one actually harkens back to Drake's Fortune, and another, of course, harkens to, what you expect this series to do when it comes to the video game franchise. So, overall, I just didn't like this movie. So that's just my, my honest review of this film. So, but that'll do it. That'll be my take on Uncharted. Thank you so much for watching. Comments below. What do you think of the film overall? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Tell me overall why. Otherwise, if you like what you see on the channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on a different video. Peace out.